How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Nice to see you back. We're going to be checking out how commute culture made American cities lifeless. I've been doing a lot of videos where it compares American infrastructure to like European infrastructure, stuff like that. So we're going to check it out. How commute culture made American cities lifeless, which I will say they are pretty lifeless. Anyways, original channel is called Peter Davies. You can find the link to the original video in the description section down below. Make sure you go to his channel, hit like on the original video, show his channel some love, and we're going to jump into it and find out how commute culture made American cities lifeless. Oh, and by the way, this dude's channel is doing pretty good. I did a reaction to one of his videos like a week ago. He only had like 900 some subscribers. Dude's got like 3,000 now, so shout out to you, Peter. For real. Good content.
Have you ever had a job in a large American city where you had to sit in traffic every morning to get downtown? Did it make you stressed to start your morning this way and remind you why you like the quiet suburban life more than the chaotic and dense city? Have you ever even thought how much time you waste commuting every day?
Oh,
According
yeah.
to the Census Bureau, Americans on average spend almost 30 minutes commuting to or from work. That's an hour each day, or
I used to have a job where I actually had to drive an hour and 15 minutes just to get there and an hour and 15 minutes back. So we're looking at 2.5 hours out of the day just for my commute time during that time period. Yeah, it sucked.
5 hours a week in time lost on average. When the pandemic hit, the work from home revolution began, and it was amazing. People who could do
Yeah.
their jobs remotely reported more satisfaction, higher productivity levels, and more free time. Companies could also save money by not having to pay for office facilities and other costs associated with maintaining an in person workplace.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
So, what was the problem? Well, it was these. These massive and uninspiring towers were already leased on a several year period, meaning that the companies were obligated to continue paying rent. They couldn't just stop because their employees weren't coming to the office. Money talks, and so many companies began vehemently opposing work from home once the pandemic started to subside.
What? Are you serious? Wow, that is crazy. All for money. Wow. All right, let's continue.
Some even threatening to fire employees who refused to come back to the office. But people knew what coming back to the office
America.
meant. It meant more of this.
Yeah.
So, why and how did everything get so bad in American cities to begin with?
Because the government has too much damn power and they don't listen to the fucking people. Sorry for the language, but it makes me mad.
Well, it starts with what our conception of a city actually is. When Americans think of a city, they often think that it's the place they go to work. We live in the suburbs, we work in the city. Maybe we also have an entertainment area in the city with bars we go to, but that's about it.
See, I don't have to deal with it. I don't live in a city. I live in a small town of 6,000 people, and right on the edge of town. So I don't have like the suburbs and then the city commute and all that to deal with, but I'm aware that it exists for sure.
This is a flawed perspective, and frankly, not how the rest of the world views cities at all.
Right.
The rest of the world views cities as places to live and work.
And this is what I'm starting to be aware of on my learning journey.
These things aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, by combining the two, we're forced to build cities that are both workable and livable. If we view cities in the American fashion, we don't have to make cities livable environments necessarily, because they're mainly just for work.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like walking around some big cities, you'll notice that if you're downtown, there's nothing there. It's literally offices and work stuff. So yeah, that is weird. The city itself isn't where people live. They live outside of that or on the outskirts. And there's going to be random apartments and random places in the city, but not so much.
This view, of course, leaves us with ugly and lifeless cities.
Yeah.
Here, for example, is my home city of Minneapolis. Once you get downtown, you're dominated on all sides by massive, uniform towers, owned by large banks and corporations, almost looking down on you.
Yeah.
There's not really any creativity or culture here, just large rows of windows and glass. This isn't a place anyone wants to be. I mean, look around. There's practically no one on the streets.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just these huge towers and nothing else.
You thought that was bad. Go to Detroit and walk around.
It's completely
For real.
lifeless. Heck, if this is all cities are, then I wouldn't like them either.
Right.
But this isn't how cities should be. Here are some random images of European cities I found on Google Maps. Just picking random streets and city centers.
Yeah,
Notice how much more lively and livable these places seem? It's because in Europe, it's a priority to actually make their cities livable.
I can't wait to be able to experience it, man. Like that's you just don't get that here, guys. You don't see that in America often at all, and it sucks.
That's why everyone loves being in the city in Europe and doesn't view it as a chore just to be there. There are so many more benefits than just aesthetics, though. You have a community. You have walkable environments where you can save money by not spending so much on gas.
Right.
Local businesses have more opportunity to thrive because of increased local foot traffic.
Sorry for pausing it right there, guys, but look at the beauty of that. Look at that versus American cities. Make your pick because to me this is beautiful right here. This is so much better looking than just a concrete jungle that you would get in the city of America. Lifeless, cold, empty. Well, full of cars and traffic jams, of course, but wow.
What I mentioned before about entertainment districts in American cities applies too. If you have to drive into the city to go to a bar, that just increases the chances of drunk driving,
Yeah, exactly. And people take that risk all the time and put people's lives at danger.
which we know causes all kinds of problems and even many deaths. If you have a bar just down the street from you, it eliminates even the thought of driving drunk. And it really becomes something you can actually be proud of. You can build culture, art, focus
Yeah.
on making great places, rather than just rank and file corporate offices. Why would we want our cities to be like something from a dystopian future movie? I mean, they kind of already are.
Yeah, it's crazy.
These places are inherently built on deception. From a distance, it might look pretty, especially with the lights at night. But once you're actually in them, it's dirty and dark. And when you center a city entirely on the massive offices that occupy it, the economy also becomes dependent on them. So when people stop coming to the offices, the businesses around them die. It's a domino effect that has devastating consequences. But imagine if the city was instead filled with living spaces and not just offices. Then it could actually be lively and thrive regardless.
You know, and that's what's happened to like Detroit and stuff. There's like a lot of the buildings downtown are just empty. So the streets are empty. There's nothing, nobody lives there. So there's nothing to do. It's just empty, abandoned buildings. And then that creates crime because of all the gang members and the violence and stuff. They can just kind of go there and do what they want. And it just makes it worse all around. And we certainly don't have the foot traffic like that here.
We shouldn't accept this as Americans. We shouldn't have to take a vacation halfway around the world just to be in a nice, livable city.
Yeah,
It's beyond time that we put our foot down and say enough is enough. Our cities are just bad. There's no way around saying that.
it's
But what we
true.
can do is improve them in the future.
Try,
Especially
yeah.
now, following the work from home revolution. There's been many talks about what to do with these offices that don't see workers return. Well, it just so happens that there's also a severe housing shortage in America.
Okay, so win-win, right? Convert the offices to houses and bam, problem solved, right?
So many have suggested the idea, why not just convert these places into apartments?
Yeah.
It's an idea that's gaining traction and will likely become popular going forward. We can advocate for livable cities, and you know what? Once people actually start living in cities again, instead of coming in from far out suburbs, change will be forced to happen. In fact, the more livable cities become, the more housing developers and local businesses can make as well. Money, of course, will talk in that manner as well. So, whether we end up working from home or not, we need to change how we view the city in America. Now is a great time to change things, based on the struggles we've recently faced. And maybe in the future, our cities can too become the envy of the world, and not somewhere we avoid like a plague.
I like walking around the cities. I like architecture and stuff like that, but there's nothing lively about it, you know, except for some places like in Chicago, you have like Michigan Avenue or you have like a Navy Pier and it's a touristy kind of hot spot. So that area is walkable and there's shops and gift centers, but the people don't live there. So you see, so it's not walkable. It's just the tourists that are there. It's not people that actually live in the area. You know what I mean? So it's just visitors like myself that went there and just decided to walk around in that area. And there's gift shops and restaurants and all that stuff. But you know, that's about as close as you're gonna get. But anyways, like I said, go check out Peter Davies' channel. Dude has some amazing content. Within a week, he's gained over 2,000 subscribers, it would seem. So he's on the right path with all that. So hit like, hit subscribe. Have a super fun, awesome day, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, later.